So hello and welcome to the Marketing PodCast, where today's session is called We Don't Just Drag and Drop, Life as an Agency Dev. Right, Rosie, so this is the episode where we risk upsetting our wonderful developers here.
Or at least exposing a few myths.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you for letting us out of the basement.
Into a lit area.
I know, it's so light.
So we are talking about life as an agency developer with two of our own, and there are images of kind of you guys being kept in dark cellars, which I actually think Chris in our team actually would prefer. I think that would be his preference.
He chose that.
He likes the dark,
chose
doesn't he? So yep. So hello Pete, and hello Sam.
Hello.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Fab. So Ros and I are Luddites. So for our benefit, let's start simple. What is the most interesting or challenging thing that you've been building over the last week? Pete, I'm going to start with you.
So this week I've been mainly just building a website. So it's generally I'm doing a lot of kind of smaller jobs, like just adding things to current websites. But this week has been a full build, so it's been pretty good, really.
It's fun.
He's had his design hat on as well. He's been showing me how their website's progressing, and he's been making a few like key design choices along the way, and it's looking really good.
Oh, well done. Sam, what have you been up to this week?
So I'm currently working on a big systems integration project, and that's always really fun because I think they're super high value for customers anyway. Moving data around is super useful, and they're also always really challenging. There's a lot of unknowns in terms of like the third parties that you're working with. So there's always exciting challenges.
I suppose when it involves data, there's always, that's probably one of the biggest unknowns, isn't
Yes,
it?
yes.
What's it going to be like when it arrives?
100%.
Great. Okay, so before we really get into what you do now at the Marketing Pod, how did you both get into your careers in like the dev world? Was it something that you always had your eye set on, or did you kind of fall into it along the way? So Pete?
So I used to build websites when I was at school. This was like
Primary or secondary?
secondary school, but this was pre-millennium. So that was back in the days, just HTML and CSS.
I don't think you were born like pre-2000.
Oh, well, I'm 40 this year.
What?
Yeah. But so I properly got into it around 2010. It was kind of the recession time. At the time, a lot of agencies had gone under. So I was applying for junior roles, and senior developers were going for them because they needed a job, basically. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of a catch-22 of people were asking, must have 5 years agency experience. And I was like, this is a junior position. But then I found that the recession wasn't hitting Cheltenham as bad, and there was lots of agencies there. And I managed to find a position there and start from there, really.
So my dev career started like all good careers do, and it was at a barbecue. So at the time, I was working in the NHS as a healthcare assistant, earning very little money, and I just got a young daughter. And the lack of money and just crazy shift patterns were just really difficult to contend with, and getting in the way of parenthood. And I struck up a conversation with someone at barbecue, and they knew someone who was running a coding boot camp. So that was in Birmingham. It was the School of Code boot camp. And this was an incredible sort of career switching funnel where they helped in getting you job ready as soon as possible, and then supported with looking for the job afterwards. So it sounded too good to be true, really.
Sounds
and
amazing.
yeah, it was. It's a fantastic proposition. Unfortunately, it's not running anymore. Chris Mia, the head honcho there, he's moved on to do more AI-related things now. But I'm really lucky that I got that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I went from there to working with Santander in terms of like big enterprise software. And so it was just straight in at the deep end, getting lots of experience.
What a barbecue.
It was a good barbecue.
Yeah.
When you said where most careers start in a barbecue, I was thinking, I don't know this.
Is that not how it
Agency.
happens?
What's this agency? Barbecue. That's a great name for an agency. Fab. Okay, Pete. For the non-devs listening, which like myself and Roz, what's the actual difference between front-end and back-end dev, and what does each one involve? And can you explain it in a way that doesn't make me panic or scared?
Sure.
Thank you.
So I always try and use the analogy of a car. So as a front-end developer, I've received the design of the car from the design team.
Yeah.
So, and it's my job to then turn that into a physical 3D form. Obviously, the design doesn't have door hinges, so I'm adding the hinges. I'm looking at the ergonomics, where the steering wheel's positioned. When you press a button, you don't want the lights just to turn on. You want them to kind of fade in. So that's kind of the animation and really just how everything looks. And then we add kind of the pieces for functionality. And then as a back-end developer, you'd be looking at how the engine runs, the information coming in, say the fuel's the database, you're looking at making it as economic as possible, so you're not having to spend a lot on servers. And then, it's just the bits that where you click is where the back end will be like, here's the function that comes from that click.
So front end is what I can see.
Yeah, so it's what you can
touch,
see.
and back end is like the secret magic.
Yeah, so it's the
behind the
animation and stuff like that, and just really just kind of the visual of the actual application itself.
Which do you prefer working in?
I prefer front end. I love the instant, I make a change, I can see it kind of thing, whereas with the back end, you can kind of write things to see it, but then you're just getting code just to say, this was successful, and you're like, oh, okay.
Does it give you a thumbs up?
Yeah,
Well
basically, you could write like 1,000 lines of code, and then at the end, it's just like, yep. And I'm just like, I'd rather kind of see what's happening in real time.
There's a lot of glory in the front end as well. You show people a shiny website, some charts, some animations, and people clap and love it. And if you say, like, I've just connected this API to the database, people are like,
Interesting.
I don't know what that means.
Do you prefer back end?
I do like back end, yeah.
And Pete's a glory hunter, basically, as well.
Of course.
I'm the glory hunter.
You're there for the applause, aren't you? Okay, Sam, like thinking not just about yourself, but like about the team, your whole team that you work with, and really interesting kind of diving deeper into the world of dev. And it's really thinking about like, what are you guys like focused on overall at the moment? What are you talking about? Is it like to do with security, integrations, deadlines, the Mandalorian TV show? Like,
Coming out
what is
soon.
really floating your boat in the dev world these days?
In terms of floating our boat, I think as unsexy as this is, it's a lot of process at the moment. So as the agency is starting to grow, we're starting to look at how we can really put process in place so we can work together like most efficiently. And along with that, there's tech tools for everything, right? So that's where we get to like play with our toys, and we look at like, well, how can we automate these processes so that we're doing things as efficiently as possible?
We're all a little bit geeky, so
Really?
so any new technology and stuff like that, we're talking about that. Keyboards a lot as well. We all like very
Who's got
custom
the best neon
keyboards.
flashing keyboard? Yeah.
Yeah, and about how the sound it makes when you press the keys and stuff like that. So
You know, all that process stuff though is super important, because actually, as we grow and as things get scaled and we kind of can repeat stuff, it's so important that we've got that foundation in place. Although it is, I imagine, quite laborious.
It is, but that's where we get to bring our tech knowledge to it. And we try, and as I say, it's all about the automations, where we like to then show off to each other and say, look, I've built this thing that can generate all the documentation for us. And
I love how you're bringing your geek to the process.
for sure.
And I might be after a little bit of the geek on processes on like my side of the fence too. So I'll be in touch on that one.
But that's another great thing about the processes is we can kind of clearly say to other teams in the agency, this is the kind of information we need, rather than you guys not being able to kind of, and like you might say, this is the information, here's the content, but then there might not be a design, whereas we can get you to kind of explain to us the design a bit, which makes it easier. Or obviously it goes over to the design team.
Oh yeah, no, totally agree. The more that there's like consistency, quality information, checks, balances, sign off, guardrails, all the things that are associated with processes, the better it is. Everything works more smoothly.
I bet your little dev chat room is quite cool.
I think so. I think so.
It is, yeah.
Heavily GIF based.
Is it?
We've got multiple ones like for each topic kind of thing, really.
Yeah, but to your point, was there you were saying like, what are we talking about at the moment? Is it security? Is it this, that, the other? That's the dev world. It's everything, and it's trying to keep on top of it is always good fun. But we do have to be like actively involved and having these conversations. And Pete goes off and looks at a new framework and says this is like the direction things are heading. And then we've got other Chris is like big on to cloud development and saying like, look at the work I've done here. So
I love that.
Yeah, this sounds great.
Yeah. I would love to be in that room, a little chat room. I
It's
have to earn my stripes. Fab. So, Pete, what's a developer's biggest day-to-day frustration? Not, I'd say Jodie. Biggest day-to-day frustration, and you're allowed to be honest within reason. Is it scope creep? Is it vague briefs?
Scope creep, well, as a general thing as a developer, I'd probably say the biggest frustration is the treadmill. And by that, I mean technology is constantly moving. So we're constantly on this kind of treadmill of learning new things.
Yep.
So one day we're building a website with this, the next day we're building it with something completely different. And you have to look at the documentation, learn. It might be a new language.
Yep.
So we're having to learn that new language, code language, obviously. not like French, but
Klingon. Yeah.
but it's if you get off the treadmill, you have to catch up, kind of thing. And we're trying to stay on that treadmill, but the good thing is at the agency we get kind of personal development time, whereas previous places I worked, they expect you to do that in your own time. So it can be like you spend, say, 7 hours a day doing work, and then once the kids are gone to bed, you're spending another couple of hours learning new things just to stay
afloat.
relevant, basically.
Yeah. Same for you.
I think for me, the frustration comes around vague briefs. So it's very difficult thankfully, I was going to say, thankfully at Pod, we do have like dedicated resource, client support
Well
teams.
recovered.
I think we do it really well at Pod it's that open communication with clients to figure out because the devil's in the detail about what we're trying to build or what we actually want. So with a vague brief, it's just like asking someone to make you a cake. If you just say, make me a cake, you might get a very different response to say, like, I've got my son's birthday coming up. I need a cake to feed 18 people and he hates chocolate. So you're going to get very different outputs from that. So I think that's...
Yeah, and the great thing is with the processes, we can kind of guide other teams to ask clients certain questions. So there might be information we need that's a lot different to what the content team needs and stuff like that. So we can kind of say, if you could ask them this question, we'll get the answers we need to develop whatever they're looking to have done.
But yeah, at Pod, we do have the dedicated solution resource very early on to communicate with clients to figure out what kind of cake it is they're asking for a long time before it gets to us. We've got client services team who are constantly communicating with them. And depending on how much coffee a dev has had that day, clients may even get to talk to a dev. So I think like that open communication is really important.
Yeah, like deer in headlights, just like...
Now I just want coffee and cake.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sam, this is the big one. Okay, so what do clients think you do as opposed to what you actually do? Can you demystify the process a bit?
I can certainly try. And I think there's quite a large gap in terms of that view. So I think it's pretty common that the idea is that devs are just writing code. You just sit there, you write code, done, development finished, or like drag and drop. They think, okay, we'll just drag and drop a website, done. But actually that's the last 10% of the job. That's the product of all of the work that comes before it. And that comes around getting the domain knowledge of understanding the technologies you're working with so you can advise on some of the best choices. You can work with design teams to say, like, this is going to work well for this use case. You work with the solutions team right at the very start to say, absolutely don't go with this because they're asking for something totally different. So we take all of that information. We then start to build on the product, thinking about the testing, making sure that we've covered things that they're going to be working, how this website, how this product is going to run after we do the build. So there's all of the aftercare that comes with it. So I think it's quite a holistic sort of job that we have to do. And really, it's about delivering a solution at the end of the day, right? That's what you're trying to do. The coding, the tech side of that, that's all of, really, it's just the language that we can use to turn ideas into like a digital reality.
Makes sense. Which bit of all of that is the bit you think that people massively underestimate?
It's the pre-code part, really. I think people just think we just go, kind of thing, whereas you really need to think like about structure, and the biggest part of it is working out how the structure will work before you actually start coding anything. If you went straight into the code, you'd write something and be like, need to rewrite that kind of thing. So
Yeah, I think it's that architectural piece very early on, like, where does your product sit? Like, how does it work? Where is it running? Those are the kinds of questions that are totally tech, and people just don't really have that view on them beforehand.
No, they know what they want as like the finished product, but actually, kind of doing all of the mechanics. It's like building a car again. You kind of got to have your blueprint.
yeah,
Know exactly how all the bits fit together before you start building it.
Yeah,
I'm probably the person that would just kind of go, do you know what? Let's just stick like a bonnet on.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Well,
Why
that's
is it
the
not
thing.
working? Oh, it's missing an engine.
someone puts the engine in, the fuel and everything, and
Yeah.
the gas pedal,
Yeah.
but they forgot the brakes.
Yeah.
It's just,
That would be a fun ride.
but and there's also the kind of, we can bring our piece to it as well with experience, kind of. So a client might say, we want A to go to B, but we want it to refer to C. And we might say, well, it would actually be better if it went to C and then synced to B, kind of thing. And that'd be more efficient use of the database, for instance.
Kind of consult and shape it with them.
Yeah.
Rather than, Fab.
Thank you. Yep.
So we can't talk tech without mentioning AI.
What's that?
Every time I read it, it says Al. I'm like, who's Al? But what's been the real impact on development? Is it replacing jobs, or is it more likely very efficient kind of coding assistant for you guys? Sam, let's go for you. Let's go to you.
So I'm of the opinion that we've not fully understood the impacts of AI, not just in dev work, but in all jobs. I think it's totally going to change the landscape of just the way that we do work generally. In the dev world, we're very early adopters of this, and we also feel the impact very early on. And ultimately, it is an incredibly powerful tool. I think the job role itself will shift slightly, moving away from that sort of the generation, the output part that I mentioned, which is that code writing. And the developers will then be able to look more towards that solution side of things. So it's more like solution engineering will be sort of where I think a lot of developers end up.
Yeah, it's I know the AI companies are using it very much to be like, build your app without having to do anything kind of thing. And that's not really, well, you can build an app, but if you tried to put that out to the world, there's security holes in it. There's things where you really need a bit of knowledge and knowing what to do with it. And as well, AI prompting, like, it'll build a much better app if a developer's saying to it, do this, think about this, and you kind of
You need that kind of Geppetto, don't you?
So taking the architectural part that you've done beforehand and actually explaining it to the AI, if you wanted it to build some code for you, that kind of stops it going off on a tangent and building whatever it wants, really.
Wow. So as well as also kind of staying on top of the treadmill, as you said, you've got to keep on top of the AI developments as well.
Yeah.
I think at the moment as well, AI is very cheap, and the companies creating these agents, as we call them. They're very cheap at the moment, but they're trying to make it so companies rely on them more, and then they'll start adding the price up. So it looks beneficial to companies at the moment, like, oh, I don't need as many developers kind of thing. But eventually they're going to be spending so much on AI, they'll need developers to kind of rein in the amount of tokens you're using and make AI more efficient.
Fab. And do you use it every day now?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think about the way that the use of these tools has changed in just like the last year alone, it's become a day-to-day tool that absolutely speeds up workflows for us. So
yeah,
I've this week I've been, because we've been building a lot of things in JavaScript. The website I'm building at the moment is PHP, and as much information as I can keep in my head, you kind of let things slip for new stuff. So I was thinking earlier this week, I was like, normally I'd go on the internet and I'd be searching Google and saying, what's this function again, and trying to work it out. But now I can just ask an AI agent, just like, what's the function to do this? And it'll actually like write it out for me and say, you can use it this way or you can use it that way. And then sometimes I can just kind of copy and paste that code in and modify it to what I need.
Fab. Okay, are you two ready for a bit of a game?
always.
Pete's slightly more hesitant. Sam, let's do it. Okay, it's a bit like Mr. and Mrs., but it's true or false. So you have to both answer. Ros and I are going to read out a statement. You both have to answer at the same time, and then we'll see if we get a match. And if we get a peculiar answer, we might probe you on it. That's
Okay.
Okay, so are you ready?
Yep.
So you've got to answer quickly. True or false? Website developers just drag and drop things to make a site like PowerPoint.
False.
Okay. True or false? Once a website is built, you never have to touch it again.
False.
True or false? You can build a serious website without writing any code at all.
True.
Ooh. But it would be a bit shonky from what Pete just said. Is that a good summary?
Yeah.
A bit not that secure and chunky?
It's so from that point, I mean, using a system as a service like Wix or something like that to actually build it, where a developer has actually written all the code already, and but you lose the kind of freedom of creating your own kind of modules. You're kind of stuck to using their kind of assets that they've created previously.
Yeah, I think there are so many tools, particularly with the emergence of AI, that can help you do this now. But I think of it in the terms of like power tools. So carpenters might use power tools, but you can do DIY. You can go out and absolutely build that shelf yourself. Will it be to the same quality as someone who's got the experience of using these tools and all of that sort of domain information? Probably not. And when you want serious work done, then you're still likely to go back to the carpenter.
Yep.
Sounds like flat pack versus carpenter.
Yes.
Italian craftsmanship.
Yes.
Okay.
Just don't ask me to build any flat pack.
True or false? Every website developer automatically knows how to build mobile apps.
False.
True or false? If a website loads slowly, it's always the developer's fault.
False.
True. And we do it on
Which
purpose.
developer, Sam?
We do it on purpose. No, definitely false.
Yeah.
True or false? You can't break a website just by clicking the wrong thing.
False.
Oh, controversial.
Explain.
So again, coming down to code quality and knowledge, it's very easy to make mistakes in even a simple website. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. If you have code that runs things on a loop, for example, without the right condition to stop looping, you might trigger something that runs forever and then crashes your browser. And it's very easy to build something like that in a no-code solution, or if you're just trusting whatever generated output comes from AI.
I'm going to change my answer. only because I was looking at it from the perspective of the person using them.
Yeah. You were
By
thinking
that point, we've QA'd it and we've fixed the issues where there might be like a function loop and stuff.
Right, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Like it.
Last one then. Building a website is a really quick, easy process.
False.
Firm.
Okay.
Firm false.
Okay, so I think after talking with you both, I think the big takeaway here is development isn't just drag and drop. It's architecture, it's logic, it's problem solving, and a lot of work that people just don't see, including daylight.
Yes. You're like human veal. So Sam, Pete, thank you very much. And to everyone watching and listening, just possibly be a bit kinder to your dev team. And next time you say, can we just tweak that?
Yeah, there's definitely not a go live button.
No.
Or at
Big
least
red.
approach with coffee.
Approach with coffee and cake.
Yeah,
Of some
coffee and cake will get a lot more done.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much.